What is this ROM? We discussed about RAM and ROM. RAM and ROM are both are primary memories. Okay, primary memories. RAM is a random access memory. ROM, read-only memory. So RAM is a kind of storage, is a temporary storage. Data cannot be stored permanently. Even if you power off your system, data in the RAM will be gone automatically. So that is called a volatile memory type. And ROM is permanent memory. The data, it is burned into the chip. So that data we cannot able to change it. Okay. It's a permanent memory. And it is a kind of a non-volatile memory example. Why? Because of non-volatile memory means even if you are disconnected or maybe even if a system is power off, the data remains in the device. Okay. And RAM is changeable. We can able to change the RAM. We can add the RAM. Is possibilities there. But ROM is a fixed chip on the motherboard. So ROM is not a just connecting and disconnecting memory. It is not like that. It is on the motherboard. It is we are permanently burn this fixed chip. Okay. And ROM, the name itself, when the manufacturer manufacture ROM chip, so while in a manufacturing time only, the instructions are put in inside. Okay. And later on the ROM chip, there is some developments are occur that is called a PROM chip, a PROM chip, EPROM, EPROM chips, EPROM chips are there. Okay. So what is the PROM chip means? It is ROM is when it is manufacturing, the instructions are given directly, means the circuit itself instructions. This we cannot change anything and modify, we cannot program it again. Okay. PROM chip is like a empty ROM chip. So person who is want build some instructions inside, they want to insert some instructions inside, he can program it once, but he cannot be removed, it cannot be erased, it cannot be reprogrammed also. Once it is programmed, we cannot able to change it. EPROM, erasable programmable reader, means we can erase the program, but we cannot able to reprogram it. We can program and erase, but we cannot reprogram it. Electrically erasable programmable chip. This is what it is, rewritable chips type. It means the ROM chip, we can able to program it as our requirement. Then if you see that there is some other requirements, there some additions are required, we can reprogram it. Means you can erase the previous one and reprogramming it. That is what ROM chip it is. Okay. PROM is a fixed chip and ROM has a program called a BIOS. What is this BIOS? Is nothing but a firmware or firmware. BIOS is nothing but a firmware or firmware. What is this ROM chip contains? Either it is a PROM chip or it is what we are using actually a PROM chips, which contains a firmware inside. Okay. The firmware we call here it as a BIOS. The firmware has different names for different devices, different places. So the firmware is generally we are calling in a legacy wise, we are calling it as BIOS. And we are also calling this ROM chip as a BIOS chip. So ROM chip or BIOS chip, both are same in a computer. Okay. Even if you have a mobile phone, the mobile phone also having some internal BIOS chip is inside. Like when you are power on your mobile, so how your mobile knows how to power on, how to distribute the power, or what are the devices are connected, a SIM card is inserted, memory card is inserted, so RAM is there, processor is there, like that, and how to turn on this one. That entire the firmware will built inside that chip only. What is the firmware? The firmware is help you to boot your system. Means turn on your system, loading operating system, recognizing the devices. This is the main primary duties of firmware. Okay. What is the firmware? It helps your system to turn on. When you power on your system, to make your system to turn on and recognizing the devices, verifying the devices, and loading operating system is based on the firmware only. That firmware we calling here it is BIOS, basic input output system. During the boot up, it performs post power on self-test. Generally, it's an acronym, so it's not a program. Post is not a program. The firmware, when you are power on, the power is distributed, that your BIOS chip will verifies, make sure that all the devices working or not, or what are the devices are connected to your motherboard, that will recognize. So it will recognize the hardware devices, like what CPU are inserted, what RAM is you are inserted, what hard disk is you are inserted, what graphic card is you are inserted. Okay. Okay, what keyboard is inserted, like what are the things are connected to your motherboard, it recognizes the hardware details and store into the BIOS chip. Okay. It helps to locate and load operating system. The BIOS chip will tell where is an operating system. So from where, what are the priorities? You have to load operating system. Okay. How to load operating system, that helps to locate and load operating system also. Okay. It helps operating system to access the hardware devices. Okay. So the BIOS chip recognize the hardware devices, so then it will give information to the our operating system. Okay. The BIOS is the older legacy name it is, and then the new BIOS version is called a UEFI, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. What is UEFI? Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. In some places they use EFI. Instead of UEFI, they use only EFI. Both are same only. Both are same only. Okay. What is a UEFI? It is a updated version or a new version of BIOS. So BIOS is a older and still it is the backend BIOS is still working. On the top of BIOS, we are using UEFI. Okay. This UEFI is also providing certain additional features. Okay, with the UEFI, you are getting some additional features are there. Okay. Mainly in the 64-bit systems, and that too, the newer 64-bit systems having this UEFI chipset on the motherboard. Okay. So what are that kind of stuff? Well, also we'll see. Okay. In the BIOS, okay, because of this date, it is showing like that. So this, then I will put it like this, then yeah. Okay. In a BIOS, if you are using a BIOS and you are installing an operating system, okay. Simple. This is the one small point only. So you have a system and you are loading a operating system for the first time. Okay. And in your hard disk, you are installing your OS, right? Installing in your system means OS will go to your hard disk. So in that time, so if you are using a BIOS chip, it make your hard disk as a MBR type of disk. It make your hard disk is MBR type of disk. MBR is nothing but a partition style master boot records. Okay, it is MBR means master boot record. It is nothing but a partition style. Okay, so when you are using a BIOS and loading an operating system, that hard disk is initialized as a MBR type with the partition style based on the MBR. Okay, it creates partition. We can create, if it is a MBR type, hard disk is MBR type, we can create maximum of 4 primary partitions, not more than that one. If you want more partitions, more than 4 partitions are required, then you can make 3 primary partitions and 1 extended partition. In the extended, you can create a multiple logical partitions. And each partition is, you can make it up to 2 terabytes of each partition you can make it. So this is MBR details. Simple only, just I am not forcing anything. Just if you want, we can separately, we can discuss that one. Okay. UEFI, the UEFI providing 2 main features. One is secure boot. Okay. Second one is GPT partition style. For example, you are using a UEFI chipset. This is not legacy, it is UEFI. Okay. And you are installing a OS, that too latest OS if you are using. Not all OSs, latest OS like Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11. Okay. Or CentOS 7, like a Linux, Enterprise Linux 7 version, 8 version, 9 version. So any latest operating systems you are using. So when you are installing this OS, the default hard disk, that's a empty fresh hard disk it is, it initialize the disk partition style as GPT. So what is the purpose of this GPT initialization? In the hard disk, you can create 128 primary partitions and each partition support up to 18 EB. Means it is larger than this 2 terabytes. It is more than 2 terabytes of partition we can able to make it. So terabytes, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, hexabyte and terabyte. So that much is very big partition you can able to make it. Okay. So what is this purpose of MBR or a GPT part? So when hard disk is initialized as MBR, there is a in the hard disk MBR record will be created. That's why it is called a master boot record. Okay, it is a record contains information about your partitions, information about your bootloader, information about your operating system location in this record only. Even for a GPT is also a record stores in your hard disk. It tells about how many partitions, partition sizes, means lengths or size, and OS information also there. Okay. So this is only for a small difference purpose only, not a deep explanation. Again, I'm telling. So you have a BIOS that is a older, UEFI is newer one. And a BIOS, when you are installing, it's a supporting type is MBR type of partition style. Okay, so support MBR partition style. Okay, yeah, so it's become that is enough. Okay, so limited hard disk partitions you can make it like a 4 primary or 3 primary, 1 extended. Inside you can create multiple logical partitions. Okay, UEFI provides secure boot and GPT type of partition style. Only for difference only, guys. So don't worry. Again, what is the firmware? The firmware is help you to boot your system. It helps you to locate your operating system and load operating systems. It is recognize your hardware devices um, and it helps your operating system to access these hardware devices. And in a firmware, like we can able to control the hardware devices also. Just that's additional point what I am saying. So in our systems, in our computer, the firmware we call it as a BIOS, basic input output system. And the newer version of this BIOS is called a UEFI. That's enough. And these BIOS chips are manufacturers are there, different types of manufacturers. AMI BIOS, American Megatrade Inc. BIOS chipset, okay, Advert BIOS, Phoenix BIOS, HP BIOS, Dell BIOS, like a different manufacturers are there to manufacturing this BIOS chips. This is the definition of what is a firmware kind of stuff. The firmware is a software provided machine instructions, LOA. Okay. Guys, understand what is a BIOS?
Yes,
Our
sir.
ROM chip is, yeah, very. Our ROM chip is nothing but our BIOS chip only. Then your name is UEFI. The BIOS means it's a program. It is inside your ROM chip. BIOS is a firmware. It's nothing but a piece of program. Very low level program, hardware level program it is. Okay. BIOS is nothing but a firmware which is inside your ROM chip. Okay. What is the use of BIOS? When you power on your system, it boot your system. It helps to recognize your hardware. It recognize your hardware devices. It helps you to locate and load operating systems. Okay. That is the BIOS. Okay. Next one is BIOS settings. What one is BIOS settings? What is this BIOS setting? Your BIOS contains hardware information. How hardware information? Because when you turn on the BIOS chip is the firmware which is recognizing your hardware devices, and that information is available inside your BIOS chip. You can check or change some hardware settings by going through BIOS settings. If there is a hardware settings, for example, maybe if you see in some colleges or some organizations, the backend USB ports are disabled. Only keyboard mouse is connected. So you want to connect a pen drive and load your C++ program to cheat your exam. And you connect, but it is not recognized. How it is possible? They can able to disable using BIOS settings. Okay, we can enable or disable certain hardware features in the system by going through this BIOS settings. Okay, you want to check your hardware information, or you want to change some hardware settings, or you want to check the hardware settings or change the hardware settings. You can go to BIOS settings. You want to define like what is the today's date and time, you can go to BIOS settings. To protect, if anybody can want to change, like you change it and you configured your BIOS settings, but someone want to try to change it. So then you, from protecting from it, you can put a BIOS passwords also. Okay. So to go to the BIOS settings, thing is, when you power on your system, and power on your system on the screen, it may shows your BIOS setting, how to go to the BIOS setting, that options. You can see there is a F2 and F12 on this picture, the F2 to go to the BIOS setup. F12 is for boot menu for this one. Okay. It is differ from one system to another system, possible differ from one system to another. In a olden days, we use delete button. Press the power button and keep pressing delete button, then you will go to the BIOS setting. In later on days, it is become F1 in some system, F2 to another system. Means you power on your system, press F2 button, you go to the BIOS settings. Okay. Different manufacturers define this BIOS key based on their manufacturing. Okay. So like Lenovo is there, Dell is there, HP is there. Okay. So Samsung is also building this computer. Like it depends upon either desktop or laptop. To go to the BIOS settings, okay, when you press the power button and you press the BIOS key based on your system, then you can go to the BIOS settings. In certain laptops, you may have to give with the function key. I have older laptop, my old laptop, okay, my previous laptop, I have to use the function key and F2. Then only I can go to the BIOS setting. Okay, so that's the thing. What you can able to do in a BIOS settings, you can check and change the date and time. You can set the password. That is not voice password, guys. Like you turn on your laptop or a desktop, and once it is on, there is a username and password is there. This password is not that password. Okay. So, some people will think like a BIOS password and OS passwords are same. No, no, no. BIOS password is different. OS password is different. Which you are login generally, that is OS related password. Okay, good. And the BIOS password is set for
Enter your
BIOS.
card details and click on Make Payment to complete your pay proudly presents Share.market popular.
Only unmuted by watching something. Okay, so careful. Um,
Sir, your voice is not audible.
okay,
So
I'm
you are
mentioning.
on mute.
Okay, good. Now can you able to hear?
Yeah, yes.
Very good. Okay, so you can change date and time. You can set the password to protect your BIOS settings from someone changes. So you are securing your BIOS settings by setting a password to the BIOS. Okay. Second one is you can able to change your hardware features. Either you can enable or disable. I'm giving one example. When I was with my old laptop, that is almost like a 10 years back when I got it, I try to do some virtualization kind of stuff. I cannot able to do it, it's throwing some error. So then what I have done, so I check in the internet and finally found that is the first time I have seen that setting. That's the way, that's the actually starting time of this virtualization technologies are there. Okay. So it is showing like here it is virtualization. Here it is showing enabled. In my old laptop, it is showing disabled. So what I have done, I go to the BIOS setting and I search for Intel virtualization technology and then I make it disabled to enabled and save the settings. Then it is got enabled and so then I can start working on it. Okay. So like this, okay, we can change the settings. Okay, like that. We can change the boot priorities. Can change the boot priorities. Means you turn on your system, OS has to be loaded, right? From which device? You have a hard disk is there, CD-ROM is there, pen drive connectivity is there, network connectivity is there. So OS can be loaded from any of these devices. From which device by priority it has to be loaded. That is also we can able to define. Okay. Finally, you can do save the settings and all. Okay, of course, I have written here the BIOS password is different from your OS password. Both are not same. The OS password means when you turn on your system, once completely okay, then you got username and password. So that is your voice related. So your name is your username is showing, and you have to type the password to log in, right? That is voice password. The BIOS password is it is given to the BIOS hardware. So then if you want to go for if you go to the BIOS settings to change or check the BIOS settings, you need that password if you define it. Okay. And also I have written here to you can able to check your system configuration. You can able to check the system configuration. Actually, that is have to be go for a first point, but I have given here. So how you check the system configuration kind of stuff? Thing is, it will see here, guys. So this is my first screen of BIOS setting. I went to the BIOS setting. Okay, this is my system. For example, I went to the BIOS settings. Okay, you can see there is a date and time. I can change the date and time according to the things. If it is different date and time is there, I can correct it from here. I can change CPU. I can check, see what is my CPU. Is Intel i7 4500U model I'm using. 1.80 gigahertz processor it is. Okay. i7 fourth generation processor. And the cache memory 4 MB cache memory. L3 cache memory is 4 MB. Fixed hard disk WDC 1 terabyte of hard disk it is. And SATA ODD means it is you can see DVD ROM it is. And total memory means my RAM and RAM speed. See what I am getting here. It will take again. When I click here, it will take time. Okay. So you can see my CPU type. This is my CPU. So this is for checking my hardware configuration CPU and CPU cache memory, L3 cache memory, and my hard disk. And there is a CD-RAM information and my RAM and RAM speed it is. And also there is a date and time settings. Okay. How this device information, what is my CPU, what is my RAM, what is a hard disk, what is a CD-RAM I am using, how these details are getting. When you power on your system, your BIOS will recognize these devices. BIOS is going to be recognize all these devices. And it runs the date and time clock also. Why it is not moving up and down? Yeah, system. Okay. So that is, you can check the configurations. You can check and change the date and time. If you see this is some hardware configuration. If you're looking at here, so there is some point is highlighted. So Intel virtualization technology showing enabled. So maybe if it is earlier, it is disabled, this change it to enabled. And the processor power management is disabled. For example, I need that feature, then I can able to enable it. Okay, so there is some detect cache access. If this is important for me, then I can able to enable it. Okay, so we can enable or disable certain features of a hardware. So there is some only for understanding I kept here. Okay, so we can able to enable or disable hardware features. Next one is the boot priority. Sorry, this is setting the password. See it is asking two passwords. Two points are there. One is user password, supervisor password. This user password, for example, you go to this enter and give the password here, and this password only for view purpose means we can view the settings. Supervisor password, we can able to change the settings. If you know the supervisor password, you can change the settings. If you know only user password, you can view the settings. You cannot change. Like this, two passwords. And this is power on boot. Power on boot means it's a password on boot. Like you are power on your system, immediately to ask password, BIOS password. Then you type the BIOS password, then only it will go for a next kind of stuff. Okay. Actually, this has to be disabled because every time you start a password, you should not ask your BIOS password. Okay. This is a setting password security. So we main, advanced, security, boot, exit. Okay. It is not always same in the all system, guys. It differ from one system to another system. Okay. The settings, the way of it is displaying is different from one system to another system, depends upon their BIOS manufacturer. Okay. Here it is. It's a boot priorities. You see this boot priorities. The first one is CD-RAM, next is removable device, next is hard disk, and finally it is network. For example, you turn on your system, you power on your system, then your BIOS will tell what is the checklist. This is a checklist. First, check OS is there in the CD-RAM or not. OS is there in the CD-RAM or not. You power on your system, and there is one or two steps will happen then. So your BIOS will tell, check the OS is there in the CD-RAM. In the CD-RAM, any OS related CD is inserted, then it will load from the here. It will load OS from here. Okay, it load OS from here. If it is not there, then it will verify any pen drives or USB kind of stuff are connected with an operating system. If it is not there, then check it in the hard disk. Is it any hard disk? Is it a hard disk contains OS? Then load operating system from hard disk. Once it is loaded, it won't check another one. If it is not there, then it will try to load OS from the network. Once again, understand the boot priority, guys. You power on your system. Okay. For example, I have connected a pen drive with a OS. I want to install OS like that. A pen drive contains a OS. So I connected a pen drive. Now I power on my system. I power on my system. Then my BIOS will tell check OS from the CD-ROM. Is CD-ROM contains OS? No. Then check any PSB drives or a removable device contains a OS. Yes, it is there. Then load OS from it. And it won't check remaining things. That is a priority. It is a checklist. If it is satisfied, don't go for next one. It is not satisfied, go for next one. Okay. In case my first priority is hard disk, next is CD-ROM or DVD, next is like a removable device and network. My voice is already in the hard disk. Voice is there in the hard disk. And voice is also in the CD-ROM. And also I connected a pen drive. I power on my system. And first is hard disk. Voice is in the hard disk. Load it. And don't check remaining. Okay. Don't check remaining like that. Okay. Voice failed to load from a hard disk. Then it will check from other one places. Okay. That's even if you are connected like a DVD with a operating system like Windows 10 OS in the DVD, you are inserted as per this list. So first it will try to load from the DVD only, not from the remaining. It won't check remaining. Okay, if you fail to load from the first one, then you to go for second. If second one is also not there, then go for third one. Okay, this is called a boot priority. Guys, understand what are the BIOS settings means? You can check and change date and time. We can check your system configurations related to CPU, RAM, hard disk. If in case you have a CD-ROM, like that information, you can get it. You can enable or disable some hardware features. Example, Intel virtualization technology feature. Intel virtualization technology feature. So it's a space is enough for here. Okay. Next, you can set a password which is different from the operating system, because if anybody want to access your access or change your BIOS settings, so you can protect it or you can secure it by using this setting the password. You can change the boot priorities, or you can check the boot priorities and you can change the boot priorities. You can define from which device the voice actually should load. So they can change the priority, can make it hard disk as a top priority. So it won't check another device. It immediately load from the hard disk only. Okay. So these are the things you can able to do by going to the BIOS settings. Guys, understand what is meant by BIOS settings? No one is speaking anything.
Yes, sir.
Others?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, these are the few points always important. Thing is, this is your BIOS chip. For example, this is your BIOS chip or UEFI chip. Basically, it contains some information by the manufacturer. When you power on your system, what will happen? Okay, try to recognize your hardware devices. For example, your CPU. CPU information go to the BIOS. RAM information go to the BIOS. Hard disk information is also go to the BIOS. If you have a CD-ROM, that information go to the BIOS. Okay, so that information, it will, when you turn on, that information stores it. This is newly reading information, not actually content information. This BIOS chip contains some information about your motherboard. Direct motherboard information is there. That is no problem. But any new device is added to your hard disk, like CPU, RAM, or so to motherboard, any device is connected, like your CPU is connected, RAM is connected, hard disk is connected, CD-ROM is connected, graphic card is connected, like that. Or an external also, anything is connected. So what it is? The BIOS is recognize that hardware information. That is separately added. Okay, that is first point. The second point is the date and time. Once you define a date and time, so the default date and time you are changing as per your current date and time. The default by manufacturer put a one date and time, but when you open it and you check it, so you can change the date and time as per your system. And this is also running time, means the date and time has to be run even your system is down. Date and time has to be run even though system is down. System is power up. I remove my power connections. Okay. In that cases also the date and time has to be run because it's a clock. It has to be run. Okay. Third one is the settings. Another important means first one is date and time. Second one is the settings. As per your requirement, you change the settings. Okay. There is a fixed information in your BIOS chip, but there is some settings you can able to change it. And the fourth important one, it means 1, 2, 3 only. Okay. The first one is configurations, hardware configurations. That is, it is recognized anytime it will recognize. That's the no problem. But the point is the fourth one is a boot priorities. Right? These are all changeable or readable or maybe continuously running kind of stuff. It means certain changes you can able to make it. Okay. The boot priorities you can able to change it from the default one. Date and time has to be run continuously even system is on or off. Okay. And it is changeable. So these are all data. What are the date and time? You changed it and running and settings and boot priorities. These are all data is temporary type only. Remaining data in the BIOS is permanent data, which is manufacturer given the data. But this data is temporary data. It means if power is off, date and time running will be stopped. It cannot go for further, right? So once date and time is defined, it has to be run. So it will be going to be stopped. And the settings, the boot priorities, and the date and time settings, all these three things, what will happen? It will be going to reset. One, reset to factory default. Factory default. What is factory default? If anytime if you are possible check it, these featured phones are there, keyboard mobile phones. You configure, take the one keyboard mobile phone, if any chance, check it. There is a date and time, just configure the date and time and do some calls, like check the missed calls, received calls, died calls, like that. Check that one. Okay, do some settings, not only date and time, do any other settings also. If you want, you can do the settings. Okay, after that one, so remove the battery, not discharge the battery, just remove the battery and reinsert the battery. So what will happen? Your current date time now it is 2024, and you reinsert the battery. What will happen? It go for 2000. Earlier it is go to 1996. That is go to the 2000, 2010, like that. It is go to the factory default, the default settings. It reset to the default settings only. You change hardware settings, you change the boot priorities, you change the date and time, and of course it has to be run. But these are all the temporary only. When I shut down this PC, automatically all these settings gone. What are the changed settings will be gone, and it will go for the resetting to the default one. Understand, guys? It go for the restart. So then, to protect it from restart, like you must reset to the default. Okay, it will go to the reset to the default settings automatically when system is power off, because it required a power supply. This chipset is required a continuous power supply, so then only these settings will be alive and date and time will run. Date and time will run. So what we are doing is the shutdowning of system is most common, right? Today morning, you open the system, night completed, then close it. You shut down the system, you remove the power connectivity. So there is no power supply to the system, right? So these settings will be gone. So to protect it from the this reset to default or removing this date and time, stop running date and times. So what you will do it? We use a battery. Use a battery. Okay, it is a lithium battery. The battery is lithium type of battery, 3 volts battery. This battery gives a continuous power supply to this BIOS chip. Okay, what is this battery will do? It give power supply to the BIOS chip. So if you shut down your system, okay, the power supply to the system will off. But to this chip, we are providing a separate battery power supply. It is not a rechargeable one. Some people asked me earlier. That's why I'm adding that one. It's not recharging battery. It's a plain battery, but it is suitable for any CMOS chipset. Okay, that's it is. It's also there is a number CR2032 lithium battery it is, and 3 volts battery. Okay, this give a continuous power supply to the BIOS chip to make it this settings like that only. It make your date and time continuously running. It makes your date and time continuously running. It will keep your passwords, your what is your BIOS password you set it, it will keep it like that only. What are the changes, hardware changes you have done? So that will be like that. Boot priorities be like that only by this battery. The battery provide power supply to the BIOS. Battery which powers BIOS chip is called a CMOS battery. This battery is a lithium battery. Also, we are calling as CMOS battery. Okay. Why it is calling as a CMOS battery? Our ROM chip is built based on the CMOS technology. The battery is suitable to give power supply. The suitable power supply can able to provide. Okay, both voltage and current rating is suitable for a CMOS chipsets. That's what it is called as a CMOS battery. It is actually lithium battery. Guys, this one is also, please remember, the battery never stores data. In some people, in some certain websites also have seen that is the very wrong information. CMOS battery store information. CMOS battery never store any information. CMOS battery never stores any information. It is a battery, guys. You have mobile phone battery, you have a pencils, remote batteries are there. It is a battery. Battery contains power. It gives power supply. Okay. Battery never store any information. Right? So think simple. Okay. So that is a important point here. So it is a battery, lithium battery, 3 volts battery. It is also called as CMOS battery. Okay. If you remove this battery, so the point is, if you shut down your system, as if without battery, what will happen? Settings will go to reset to the factory default. Even if you remove this battery, if you remove the battery, the power supply will be disconnected to the BIOS. Like you shut down your PC and remove the battery. So obviously these settings will be gone. It will reset to the factory default. It reset to the factory default. Okay. You guys understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you are getting what is a CMOS battery, it is lithium 3 volts battery which provide power supply to the BIOS chip. Okay, even if you shut down your PC, this battery gives power supply to the BIOS chip to keep the date and time running, and keep your BIOS password settings and boot priorities as given settings. If you remove the battery, these settings will go for a factory default. Reset to the factory default. Okay, that's the point. Here is a small issue also we are discussing. Okay, so what is this CMOS checksum error or CMOS checksum bad? Some places it shows bad, some are error. Error is very danger, bad is okay. Okay, so what happened? There is a two ways you can. One is like a I removed this battery and reinserted back. Then I start my PC. When I remove the battery, what happened? The settings in the BIOS will go for a factory default. Everything goes for a factory default. So when I start my PC next time, it shows CMOS checksum error. Press F1 or F2, go to the settings and change the settings and continue. Okay, or continue. Okay, so what you will do, if you want, you can go to the BIOS settings, change as earlier settings, and then continue. And then we do a continue. So that is, we'll work on it, right? That is one time you do it. So like you remove the battery and reinsert the battery, and you got a BIOS checksum error. When you start your system, you got a BIOS checksum error, okay, or a checksum bad is occur. So settings are changed to the factory default. If you want, you can able to change it back to the as per your requirement. That is one time. That is one time. So, when I went to the Pune branch, so what happened? There's some of the systems, when we start the daily, it's the same day, like we change date and time, everything we have done. But next day also we are getting same error. Some of the system, there is a 5-6 systems continuously every day we have checking. So when you power on your system, then CMOS checksum error, CMOS checksum error. And then we continue, we started working on it. Okay, so which either we change the settings or maybe we'll continue the settings. Where is the problem is there? It is the batteries become weak, or maybe low power or no power, less of the power or no power. For example, your remote batteries are become weak. It is the power is completed already 3 months, 6 months completed. So what happened? Your battery is become weak, so your remote won't work properly. No, not at all charging means not at all working. No battery, not at all working. No charging at all means not at all working, right? The same way this batteries become weak, it cannot able to give enough power supply to your CMOS chip. So Today you change the settings. Again tomorrow you are getting same thing. And day after tomorrow also it is getting same thing. So it is the problem is your battery problem. So what you will do it? Remove the battery and put a new battery. In generally, these BIOS batteries will works in in olden days it is 10 years. Now it is 3 to 5 years max. Okay. Now it is 3 to 5 years. So within the 5 years you have to change it. Okay. So maximum like after 3 years, if it is working good, but when you got this kind of problem, okay, it won't occur in a 3 months, 6 months, but it take at least 3 to 5 years. You will get this problem. When you are getting this problem, every time you are getting this problem means, so what is the problem? So there is a battery is no charge or um, no power inside your battery. Okay. So that is one issue. This is an issue and that is a solution. Okay. Guys, understand what is the work with this CMOS battery?
Yes, sir.
The people, both people, any branch here belongs to it, guys. There is a transistor. There is a transistor. In the transistor, different types of transistors are there. This is MOSFET. Okay. MOSFET. What is a FET? Field effect to transistor. Metal oxide semiconductor field effect to transistor. It is a transistor. In the transistor, there is a two types. One is NMOS, another one is PMOS. NMOS transistor is there, PMOS transistor. People who build this type of chipsets like a CPU, RAM, BIOS, all these things, on motherboard chipsets, computer related things, anything, the chipsets what we are using, VLSA designing, okay? So they use this NMOS and CMOS. To make it better, they combine these NMOS and PMOS and it's a combination of NMOS and PMOS, okay? They created a CMOS. CMOS is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It is nothing but a combination of NMOS transistor and PMOS transistor. So it is CMOS. All these chips will build with this CMOS transistor only. CMOS is a technology or a transistor which we are using to build our chips like a CPU, RAM, BIOS, all these things are CMOS only. Okay, CMOS is not battery. CMOS battery is lithium battery. Okay, so that is the point. So never say like this, CMOS is a battery. No. CMOS battery is nothing but a lithium battery which provide a continuous power supply to our BIOS chip. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say point. Okay. Actually, I want to give break. I will give break because this BIOS is very lengthy one. Before I'm going to give a break, guys, there's a 3 points you have to remember. That is, one is if your system is restart itself again and again, so what is the problem? It is possible CPU is overheated. That is CPU related. Okay. Second one is RAM related issues. If RAM got dust, RAM got a dust on the edges, a RAM slot got dust, a RAM got a loose connection. If RAM is not working, what you will get it? Post failure. When you power on your system, the post operation get failed, so you cannot able to boot next. So this is the second one. What is the first one? Continuous restarts without showing any error. There's one possibility is that is there is a possibility of CPU is getting overheated because of that heat sink or heat sink paste or thermal paste, heat sink fan not installed properly or maybe because of the dust. And another one is in case of your RAM has dust on its edges or RAM failures, RAM loose connections, RAM slots dust or RAM slots problem means there is some issues in the RAM slot also. It is causes post failure. When you power on your system, at first post operation will happen. It makes sure that all the components working or not, all primary components working or not, and your hardware, your BIOS will recognize the devices when you power on. So if your RAM is having a problem, definitely it is go for a post failure. RAM related. So post failure having so many other issues, but I am telling only one point. In BIOS, if your battery is removed and reinserted, or maybe if your battery is power is lesser, or maybe no power inside your CMOS battery, so you will get a CMOS checksum error. 3 issues. Where is this storage discussion? For this batch, I skipped it or what? I have a storage discussion is also there. So maybe I skipped it. And maybe I have done afterwards. It's okay. So I'm writing those things. So it starts itself without I will write in reverse order. Okay. If CPU is getting overheated, system restarts itself to prevent CPU damage or burn. Okay. And what is the second one? If RAM failed, lose connection, dust on edges, dust on RAM slots, causes what it causes post failure. Okay, and the next one is if CMOS battery low or no power. So what is the error you will get it? CMOS with some error or it will shows bad sometimes. Resets BIOS settings, BIOS settings to factory default and shows CMOS 600. Okay. So these are a few points, issues related we have discussed. Okay, so that's the and that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we went to the motherboard directly after this. Okay, now that is. Okay. So we are going to discuss about a motherboard slots, SM, PSS. Okay. After the small break. So what you will do? Take a break. Come back in a 10 minutes is okay. For now it is. Later I will give a 15-20 minutes. It's a small topic only. That's right. It is. $11, 45, 11:50. So I'm giving 15 minutes. Okay. Compulsory come back, guys. Some people are already missed. Some people already left. Don't do like